Hello all, here is my September report. The less than clement weather, along with other commitments at home, meant that we didn't get out and about very much this month. But we did spend a lovely evening at a shanty festival down in Oxford, and also saw a little of baby Adrian, as well as having some old friends over to visit us. The mammoth task of going through all of our staff continues apace. We've been very brave this month and let go of a lot of books and DVDs and CDs that we had hung on to previously. We also have a big pile of DVDs in the front room now, whose status is, watch this so we can decide if we need to own it. On the plus side, it is great to have a couple of rooms that used to be full of junk and are now lovely places to spend time in. On the reading front, I have two things that I read for the first time. The first was Lois Lane, Enemy of the People. This was a 12-issue comic book run from 2019, written by Greg Rucka with art by Mike Perkins. I was really looking forward to this, having read one issue of it a few years ago that had been collected into a crossover. The dialogue is crisp and sparkling, and Rucka has the skill to make each of the characters spring off the page with real energy. By putting Lois centre stage and having Clark only fly by occasionally, this series gets to be about Lois as the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter that she is, chasing a complicated story while also taking the time for some very deliberate swipes to the side at ICE and other policies of what was, at the time of publication, Trump's White House. This is Lois at her competent and professional best, with a vibe that was 2 parts All the President's Men to 1 part His Girl Friday. I really enjoyed it. I already knew that I loved Rucka's writing, but I am now determined to track down other comics that have Mike Perkins doing the art. My second new read of the month was Diplomatic Immunity by Lois McMaster Buchholz. This is something like Book 13 of the Vorkosigan saga, which I have adored for decades. It was lovely to visit with Miles and Ekaterine again after far too many years away from them. Buchholz is a big name in the SF community, having won the Hugo Award for Best Novel 4 times, matching the record set by Robert Heinlein. I have read and reread a lot of her books many times. That said, though, for all that is true, there is another side to this story. There is a little bit of mystery here to my first reading this book now in 2024, because I do love this series, and I have reread them a lot. But the awful truth is that this book, Diplomatic Immunity, came out in 2003. This paperback that I read for the first time this month has been in my house for over 20 years. So, what's that all about? Do I have a really, really tall to-be-read pile? Was I saving it for retirement? Well, I mean, maybe a little, I guess. But it was actually more like, I did mean to go back to that series, I just hadn't got around to it yet. And by yet, I mean for 20 years. Having now finally read it and enjoyed it, I still don't find that I regret not doing so earlier, but then those kind of regrets aren't really in my nature. I don't tend to play what-if games very often. The past is done now, whereas the future is still up for grabs. I try to focus my efforts towards change in that direction, where they might actually do me some good. While reading this book, though, and enjoying it, I did reflect on why it might have taken me this long, and I did come up with one kind of legitimate excuse. The novel before this one in the series was called A Civil Campaign, and it was, hands down, Buchholz's masterpiece. She took all that she had learned about the art of writing and about how to braid together different genres of story, and about these characters and their personalities and their strengths and their flaws and their families and their world, and she wrote a story that spun all of that into gold. A Civil Campaign is a breathtaking achievement in fiction, and I adored it, and so did many other people I know that read it. Diplomatic Immunity made no attempt to top it. Buchholz knew full well that a series is made up of light and shade, that not all of the books are big showstoppers, and that after pulling out all of the stops for one of them, the next one maybe needs to be of a smaller scale. Diplomatic Immunity is that smaller scale story. It's still an exciting and well-written mystery with a well-paced plot and excellent characterization. I definitely enjoyed reading it, but maybe that is part of the reason why I didn't leap to devour it when it first came out. And that's all I have to report this month. See you next time. Love you all. Stay well.